Get in.
All right. Cool. Get to my notes for Red Dwarf and woo. Okay.
Okay.
Synopsizing this one.
You what?
Who's doing the 3-minute synopsis for this one?
Ooh. Gosh, it could be either of us. I think we're all pretty
Right.
well read.
Yeah.
Do you want to? Do you want to do it?
Sure. It doesn't matter to me.
Okay. So, do you want to bring in the stinger?
Oh yeah. Brand. I gotta go to brand. Then I push the thing. All right. Let's go.
Okay.
Oh hi. Didn't see you there.
Hi. Hello. How you doing?
I'm doing good. We're making this new secret podcast. Not really a secret
It's not
anymore.
so secret anymore.
This is episode 7, I think. So yeah,
Yep.
and the first handful are out.
Yeah.
It's been a
How am I
treat.
looking? I'm looking nice. Okay.
Oh my god.
Okay. Sorry.
Oh, before we get into that,
my
we
hair's
should talk
nice. My
about.
suit's nice. I'm just
Oh
nice.
god, I love this show so much,
Oh, it's so good.
and I have things to say. I guess
Yeah.
before we get into that, though, we should talk about.
Okay.
Tell me what you watch, Vink. What do you really, really watch?
I'll tell you what I watch. What I really, really watch. I have been watching some episodes of How I Met Your Mother.
I haven't
Yes.
watched that since it went off the air. I can't bring myself to.
It got on Netflix and now it's got Japanese subtitles, and I'm thinking of trying to introduce
Oh,
my wife to it because she likes things like Friends and things like that, and
she would love this then.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So, and she liked what it was, The New Girl, so I think this, you know, and I still am, I'm not angry at the series for the last season, so I can I can come into it fresh. But yeah,
I'm not
that's what I've
angry
been
at the
watching.
whole last season, just the last episode. Just that one. And for a
Yeah.
very specific reason. Maybe once we talk about it in the actual
Yeah.
podcast as an episode, then I will explain it then, but not now.
Okay. Yeah, and we
I'm going
will.
to drag
We
it
will
out for
talk about
7
this one.
seasons and then explain it.
Yeah. We'll drop we'll drop hints along the way. Where's my umbrella? Okay. Anyway,
Freaking umbrella. Out of all those people,
Yep.
the one who went on
Yep.
to stardom was freaking Colby Smulders. I wouldn't have guessed, but she is an amazing Maria Hill. I just got to say that right off the bat.
Yep.
So,
Anyway, hey.
Anyway,
How about you? What you been watching?
I watched the first 2 episodes of Star Trek Prodigy.
Yep.
Which is a Nickelodeon show about Star Trek.
Yeah.
Spoilers, it features a hologram of Captain Catherine Janeway from Star Trek Voyager, which then led me to watch the first season of Star Trek Voyager again. And, buddy, it's been a while. It's been a hot minute since I watched Voyager. Because over those 7 seasons, I had feelings, much like How I Met Your Mother, about how that ended.
Okay.
Saw it coming from a mile away, given all the various plots they'd done during the show.
Yep.
But suffice to say, even though the show had premiered in 1994, hot off the heels of Star Trek The Next Generation.
Yep.
And then concurrently with Deep Space Nine for 5 seasons.
That's right.
And I think the series finale was while I was in college, so 2001 or 2. It's amazing how much I remember of that first season, and that's all on Paramount Plus now. I don't know if it's on Netflix still, but I haven't watched every episode because, much like Quantum Leap, I recall quite a bit, so I've just been picking the ones that I don't remember as much.
Yeah,
and it's better than I remember in that first season. Maybe it's
Nice.
season 2 that where I start to hate it. I don't really
Nice.
remember.
I'll
But
have to
I also
watch it.
watched. Go ahead.
I have it on Laserdisc, seasons 1 and 2.
Of course you do.
Of course I do.
Good Lord.
Okay,
Yeah,
continue.
the Paramount Plus versions are definitely 480p. I'm just gonna put that out there.
But that's good because sometimes when they HD something, they also letterbox it and they cut off the bottom of the screen.
That's no good. Yeah, it's all 4:3. I think much like Next Generation, all the effects are done on videotape, so you can't really HDify it without redoing the effects, which was very expensive, probably not worth it for Next Generation. I'm just saying. So
I got one more thing I've been watching. Oh, you still on Voyager? Okay.
No, I was just gonna say that I really appreciate Janeway a lot more in retrospect after not having watched it in 20 years or so.
Okay.
She's a good captain.
She was also good in the movie Camp Nowhere.
Also good
she was one of the moms.
Orange is the New Black.
Yeah, there's that too, but Camp Nowhere,
Yeah.
So I've been
watching.
Yes, I've been watching some episodes of the Flintstones. And I have to say,
field.
Now, I mean, maybe it's just me. Maybe I've been, in quarantine too long. But do you find Wilma Flintstone sexy?
What is that a quote from? Is that like Mallrats? Like what is that?
No,
from?
It's not. It's spoilers. It's from the topic of this episode.
Oh, sorry. It's been a while. I didn't make it through all of season 2. So, or maybe it's after season 2.
It's actually the first episode of season 3. It's actually
I can hear Lister saying that.
So you're supposed to be the cat, and you're supposed to be saying, in all probability, Wilma Flintstone is the most desirable woman who's ever lived. And then I say,
she is.
And then I say, well, what do you think about Betty Rubble?
I don't remember.
And you say, I'd go with Betty, but I'd be thinking of Wilma. And then I'd say, this is crazy talk. And Kat says, yes, you're crazy. And he goes, yeah, she'd never leave Fred. I was hoping you'd be able to go with me on this one, but that's
I
okay.
can't remember.
I mostly talk to myself anyway. So
I just listen.
Okay, let's skip to the meat. And you know what? I'm going to do to you what you did to me with Quantum Leap. Since you clearly don't remember as closely as I do. Please explain the premise of the first 2 seasons of Red Dwarf to our listeners out there. Because yes, Red Dwarf.
Yeah, Red Dwarf is a story about the last man in the universe and his 4 male companions. Although there's not always 4 of them. They're not all human. They're not all alive, and there's not always 5 of them. Or sorry, there's not always 4 of them.
Is there ever 4? 4 companions? Cast of 5?
It's 4 chaps. For the most part.
Okay.
A different 4 chaps, and then it's 5 of them, and one of them isn't a chap. Or there's 4 of them, and one of them also isn't a chap.
All right. But we're talking about season 1 right now. So
series 1 and 2. All right. So it all starts when second and third technician Rimmer and Lister, who are the 2 lowest ranking crew members on the Red Dwarf mining ship from the Jupiter Corporation, I believe.
What about the laboratory mice? If Lister gives them a command, they've got to jump right to it. Yes, Mr. Lister, sir. I'm sorry. I'm going to just be throwing quotes at you this entire episode. Sorry. Because I just rewatched it today. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
And rather than give up his cat Frankenstein, to be dissected, he goes into time stasis and wakes up 3 million years. Yes. Wakes up 3 million years later after all the radiation has dissipated because without Lister, Rimmer has improperly sealed a drive plate and all of the crew died. Everybody's dead, Dave. Everybody's dead, Dave. Everybody's dead, Dave. And he's the only living human that he knows of in all of the cosmos.
Yep.
Although they established early on that dead crewmates can be resurrected as holograms
Just one.
by the ship's computer, Holly, just one at a time. And so Holly, the computer, has chosen Rimmer as the person to best keep Lister sane. So that's Holly, a computer, who's a dude for now.
Yep.
Rimmer,
it's kind of like Ziggy.
Yes, it's very much like Ziggy, except for he's literally not alive anymore and is a complete simulation of what Rimmer was like. Rimmer, who is dead, having killed everyone.
Dead is a can of Spam.
And a cat who's descended from Frankenstein after millions of years, safely sealed in the cargo hold, and it's the four of them traveling through space trying to get back to Earth.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yep.
That's it in a nutshell. Yeah, Arnold.
Well, and unlike you, I did actually watch Red Dwarf before this episode. So, I mean, as opposed to Quantum Leap.
I watched Quantum Leap before this episode.
30
odd years ago.
Episode.
Yeah. Okay. All right. But I mean, Red Dwarf predates Quantum Leap. Red Dwarf premiered in 1988. Yeah. But unlike Quantum Leap,
87 or 88? I thought it was 87.
Might have been 87, but 87, 88. But they filmed the first two series at the same time, so I'm not sure how but anyway,
makes sense given what we've seen in that show. Yep.
So it predates Quantum Leap, and unlike Quantum Leap, it's still running.
Boy, is that a thing. British
that is
TV,
a real thing.
You guys. British
Weird.
TV is different. And not just because it's funnier and better and all around amazing, but because unlike American TV, where you had to sell your soul to a network for a decade, or at least until you got to syndication, so 5 seasons typically, 100 episodes. British TV shows, given that the BBC is publicly funded, can do whatever they want. So Red Dwarf was 6 episodes.
80. Okay. Both series 1 and 2 of Red Dwarf ran in 1988. And then it was immediately followed. Then it was immediately followed by Red Dwarf Series 3 in 89. Then they waited 2 years, did Red Dwarf 4 in 91. Then 92 had Red Dwarf 5, 93 had Red Dwarf 6, 90, and then 4-year gap until Red Dwarf 7 in 97, then 2-year gap, and then Red Dwarf 8, then a 10-year gap, and then a 3-part miniseries called Back to Earth. Another 3-year gap, Red Dwarf 10, 4-year gap, Red Dwarf 11, 1-year gap, Red Dwarf 12, 3-year gap, Red Dwarf The Promised Land, a movie event. So,
oh my God.
And
British TV is just different, you guys.
It's just different. But anyway, still running, kinda. I mean, who knows? I mean, they just finished up that movie, and it might be 10 years until we get new episodes, but I feel like we will. Do you know what I mean? Because the premise of Red Dwarf. Now, I'm going to give you a different overview of Red Dwarf.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
It's The Odd Couple meets Dark Star.
That's good. Yeah.
Because you've got your Felix Unger and what's the other guy's name? The Odd Couple people. You've got the slob and you've got the overly anal retentive person. Except they're both kind of dumb. And you've got the cat who's
extremely dumb.
Yeah. You got Cat who's comic relief, but really the main premise of the first 2 series is Lister and Rimmer trying to stay sane, dealing with an infinite amount of time in an empty, godless world. It's like it's like the whole nihilist idea of is there any points to life?
Yes. It's what you make of it, basically, and what people think to make of it in this show is to make each other just miserable enough that they don't lose it.
entire episodes can be based off practical jokes to keep one from being bored. I mean, the idea is that it's 3 million years. So obviously life, if it still exists, has evolved beyond the point where one could ever reemerge from it. They're traveling at a ship that has approached light speed, so much so that we're getting future echoes. Talk about that in a moment.
I love that episode. Yes.
It turns out that Lister, the lowest ranked member on a ship of 169 crew members, is in fact God.
To the cats, just to the cats.
Cat people, because his
it was part of my plan. It was me plan.
Yeah, I planned it. I was going to have a sheep and a cow and breed horses. With a sheep and a cow? No, with horses and
horses.
Most of Fiji is 3 feet underwater these days. Well, the animals will have to be quite tall. You can crossbreed them with dolphins and have leaping mutton. Bah, psh, bah.
Listen, so Lord. That's the wild thing about this show is it was shot as a sitcom.
It is
like
a sitcom.
The kind of sitcom that oh shoot, I forgot the name of it. That Ricky Gervais show was about.
The Office?
No, the one after that. It was the kind of show that show would make fun of, that was like soulless and godless, and you like sold humanity and your vision of life and whatever to be in this horrible thing with catchphrases and whatever else. And then David Bowie makes fun of you for it.
Yep. Sorry, I'm
gonna have to look it up now because I feel terrible.
Yes. But anyway, so Red Dwarf is a low-budget show that has just a few very industrial-looking sets. Everything is gray in the first part because it's not supposed to be a glamorous starliner.
No,
it's a mining ship.
Yes.
It is a ship, and they are part of the Space Corps, and they're just doing these trips to earn some money to save some money. Except for Rimmer, who's a career, and like the first 2 seasons have a very distinct look that goes away in the later series. It's everything is very industrial, very gray. If there's a product on the screen, it's like Jupiter Mining Corporation beer, Jupiter Mining Corporation whiskey, Jupiter Mining Corporation popcorn. Everything is dull and drab, and it's supposed to show that. And it's basically just about these 2 people who cannot get along. And you've got the science fiction wrapper to it, but generally it's just, it could be a stage show quite easily, because also in
very
the
much
first series, it is a science fiction series that has no aliens.
That so at least at the time that they set off on the Red Dwarf, the name of the ship, by the way, that they're on. They haven't encountered any alien life, and in 3 million years, who knows? So far, every lead in the first 2 series is a false one.
Yes, they keep
one
thinking
it's a practical joke.
It's a garbage pod.
You ruined it.
I'm sorry.
Spoiled the whole episode.
I'm sorry. It's a Quagar warrior.
They're very early in that episode. It's fine.
Yes,
Rimmer doesn't realize. Rimmer's always convinced it's aliens, like the guy, like it's aliens, like he's that guy all the time.
He's the guy before that guy was that guy.
Yeah.
So you've got Rimmer, who's totally incompetent, but acts
and dead.
He's dead. Yes. The series skips around a little bit in the early episodes where they show flashbacks of when the crew was alive, but for the most part, it is a character piece between 2 actors, and occasionally interrupted by a guest star or the cat, who mainly just is the comic relief, just scurrying around being a cat. Which is hilarious. He becomes much more of a crew member after the first 2 series, but in the first ones, he's just kind of there and totally self-absorbed and hilarious. I mean, and the ship's computer is senile because he's been alone for 3 million years.
Yes,
which is the same IQ as 6,000 PE teachers.
I appreciate so much how every single one of these characters is an imbecile.
Oh, completely. There is, I mean, you won't get competent characters in this show until several seasons in.
Right.
And even
And they
then,
are quickly
they're
run out of town on. Yeah.
yes, they are. This is my favorite show, I think.
Ooh.
I don't know. I
Oh,
mean,
I love it.
at least
Let me.
historically, yes.
My exposure to this show was
Yeah.
this. I'm sure I saw it on PBS.
Okay.
I think it was a season 5 episode because it had a lot
Yep.
to do with Kachansky was complaining about the gurgling pipes in her bunk.
That would be series 7, and the episode is Duck Soup.
Is it 7? Oh God.
Yep.
See, there you go.
Yep. Oh, you joined after the classic era. Wow.
Oh yes. So I wasn't aware of it until that point. And so it was really Trey, the founder of this venerated Nerd and Tie podcast network,
Yep.
who got me to watch the earlier seasons once I got to college and met him. And that's also when Series 8 had started airing. So we watched all of it, which didn't take long because they're short. But
each of the early series was 6 episodes, and some of the later series ranged up till 8 episodes.
Right,
but wow. Okay. My first episode that I ever watched was one called Meltdown, which is the one with the wax droids. It's a series 4 or 5 episode.
Okay.
And I think series 5. And then what's weird is like there was one. Series 5 ends with an episode called Back to Reality, where
yes, I love that.
And then the next episode in the PBS run order was episode 1, which is called The End, which confused me a lot. And I thought this, because it seemed, I'm not going to spoil the end of series 5, but it seemed that it might have been a simulation. And then this episode comes on and I'm like, is this the next episode? But it was the beginning. And then I watched it all the way through, taping the episodes this time and watching them obsessively. And then I ran all the way through, and then series 6 was the new season that I watched. So I watched it before the big gap. And
okay.
But yeah, since I was
catch
taping,
up on though.
Yeah. What?
Plenty to catch up on though.
Oh yeah. It was but just an absolutely and okay. I was a little worried to rewatch these episodes because, again, I watched them obsessively when I was young. Sure. And they shaped a lot of how I feel about comedy. They really, really do. Like timing and things like that. What?
Are you saying we aren't young?
I'm not saying that specifically, but so yeah, I watched them all now, not taped off my VHS tape, so I could actually read the things. Like there's a lot of visual gags that I never got because I couldn't actually read the text on the screen because I recorded them in like that 6-hour VHS mode, which seemed like a good idea at the time.
For those of you who don't know, like guys, like TV is like in 640 by 480, roughly. Yeah. And when you record things on VHS, first of all, it's analog. So you make copies, it degrades and degrades and degrades. But the SLP speed you're talking about, super long play, they call that. Very low resolution.
Vaseline 640
mode. By 480. Yeah, like it is.
You can simulate
smeared.
You can simulate it. Just take a pair of glasses, get like some leftover grease from a pot roast, and just kind of wipe it all on there, and then put them on, and then sit really close. That's the experience. So I was watching them again from my DVDs, which I'll tell you what, I bought these DVDs when DVD was new. And I don't think I don't think I even rewatched the episodes on them. I think I mainly watched all the tons of special features on the DVDs because I was so familiar with the episodes. I didn't. So some of these episodes, I'm sure I'm rewatching for the first time in a watchable format in 20 years. And I was like, I still remembered almost every line of dialogue, but I picked up so many visual things that I'd never seen before. So,
oh no.
Like everything's written in English and Esperanto because the creators thought that would be the universal language in the future.
Yeah, and Rimmer's trying to constantly learn Esperanto, and he's terrible at it.
Yep, yep.
It's great.
Just so anyway, Red Dwarf is is a show that is science fiction, and it definitely becomes more science fiction-y as it goes along. And there's
Yep.
two schools of thought on that. Some people
Yep.
think that it really picked up at series 3 because they started having more characters doing more things. Monster of the week, started getting more exciting, a lot more action packed. Whereas the first two series were just basically people talking a lot and recalling things. But there's so many brilliant ideas, just absolutely brilliant ideas that it's unfortunate that they had only a half-hour comedy format to do, because so many of them could have been a series in themselves. The concept of future echoes, which is the second episode, exploring the idea of bringing back dead crew members as holograms, the fact that an entire race and religion came from the cat the pregnant cat that Lister had smuggled aboard, and the ideas of divinity. Each episode was something. The hallucination hallucinations made solid in Confidence and Paranoia, which could have been, which mainly manifested themselves in a bunch of fish raining from the sky.
Right.
Then you've got let's see, I think I skipped one. Me Squared, which is the hell is living with yourself, where they find a way to bring back another hologram, but they just bring back a duplicate hologram. Just absolutely wonderful stuff. Just wonderful stuff going
on. Yeah, Future Echoes definitely was foundational for my understanding of the whole predestination paradox thing.
Yes.
Like before I watched Lost season 5, and especially as a fan of like Quantum Leap, very different.
Yes. Then we get into series 2. Series 2 changes it up a little bit. They're definitely trying to expand the universe a little bit. They're bringing in some new one-off characters, expanding the role of Kat a little bit, expanding the role of Holly, making Holly the ship's computer, which was always kind of a funny thing. But there's an episode called Queeg, and I'm not going to spoil this, but Queeg is a great episode. And
it is.
Some people would call Red Dwarf kind of like a Waiting for Godot, because like there's a lot of dialogue, but nothing really happens of substance in the first two series.
Nothing can, because again, it's just like the point is to remain sane in an empty, godless universe.
Sure. Did you watch Dark Star?
No.
Early what is it, John Carpenter movie? Like very low budget, started off as a college production, and really low budget, but there's definitely influences of Red Dwarf in there, because it's also funny, it's also characters kind of going insane. You've also got a sentient computer, and everything's very industrial looking, because it also reminds me of a series called Quark. Do you know Quark?
I've heard of it.
Quark was like kind of like Get Smart in space. It was another one done by what's his Buck Henry, and it was canceled after 9 episodes. But it's a bunch of space sanitation workers, like a garbage crew.
Oh, sure,
or whatever. And it's much more trying to be a funny show. You know what I mean? But like there's definitely inspirations. But I think Red Dwarf is just the one that encapsulates it all so well. The idea of this isn't about space adventurers. This isn't about the captain of the ship. It's about the people who clean the nozzle from the chicken soup dispenser.
It's like Lower Decks before Lower Decks.
Sure.
Except they keep getting pulled into the big plots. Like, whereas these guys never do anything important. Like as the captain's notes said about Rimmer, that if there's a job doing well,
If there's a job worth doing, if there's a job worth doing, do it well. And if there's a job not worth doing, give it to Rimmer.
Give it to Rimmer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, no, Holly, my file. Yeah. No, I guess that could be an off-putting thing about this show too, is that it is a sitcom, and there is a laugh track. Like I think as an actual studio audience, at least early on, when I watched
even in the later series, yeah.
Well, there was a season or two where they didn't have the laugh track at the very least.
That's right.
And so it was off-putting to me to go back to the earlier stuff where it's very much like a set that's meant to be filmed in front of a studio audience. And the camera angles
it was filmed in front of a studio audience, because in the Smeg Ups tape, you could win a chance to be in the studio audience for a future season. So yeah, it was and if you watch the bloopers videos, which are great, you can definitely hear the audience reacting to things that are not going as planned.
Right. So it evolves as it goes along through these decades. But in these first two series, it's very much, seasons, laugh tracks, people are flubbing their lines a little bit here and there. They're waiting for the audience laughter to die down before they say their next thing. It's potentially an acquired taste to a generation who grew up with 30 Rock or whatever.
When I was young, I liked the later series more. I did. I thought because there was more happening, there was more action, and there was always like a gimmick of the week, like time was running backwards, or everyone's a wax droid of famous historical figures, or something like that. There was but these early episodes, I don't know. I'm rewatching it all now. I just finished the first two series for this episode, so we'll see how I come. But they're so good. They're just so well written. Like there's almost no wasted dialogue space.
Yeah. So, some of the concepts that they lay in the first few episodes don't really get violated, at least not for a long time. Like the idea that your future fate can't be changed. So like thinking about this, like Lister sees himself as a very old man eventually, like 120 years old. I can't remember exactly. So the fact that these actors in real life
with a metal hand
are aging dramatically, in real time, making this show is not out of continuity with the show's premise itself, because they are destined to live on Red Dwarf for the rest of their lives. Except Rimmer, who has multiple. You know what? That's a later series thing. We'll talk about that later.
It's got kind of like a Harry Potter type of evolution to it, in the way that when you're reading through the Harry Potter books, like, okay, the only way to get to Hogwarts is to go to platform 9 3/4 and hop on the Hogwarts Express. Okay, no, you can also take a flying car. Okay, and by the end, it's just like, just snap your fingers, you're there. It's kind of like that with Red Dwarf too. They had to change, because originally Rimmer's a hologram. He can't touch anything. He can't go anywhere. When he leaves the ship, he has to go in this hologram projection suite, this like cage that comes along with him. And then later he's got a floating hologram generation device.
He's a hard light, much like.
And then later it's hard light. Yep.
Oh, that's so as parallels.
But the thing is, Red Dwarf is fully aware of it. Like in the beginning of they set up a major cliffhanger at the end of series 2, where Lister is. Can I say it? Yeah, it's been a while.
Say it. Yeah.
And Lister's pregnant with twin boys.
That's how he got Jim and Bexley.
That's Jim
Bexley.
They set up this whole thing. It was building to this thing, and then again, 2-year break until the next series. And what they do is they have an opening crawl, like a Star Wars crawl, too fast that you could ever actually read it. And my VHS tapes were so bad I couldn't read it, even at the slow-mo. So I actually had to look it up on Usenet. I looked on Rec Arts Red-Dwarf. Alt Rec Arts. Anyway, and to read it, and they explain that everything that happened in the first two series happened just how they said it would, but it's not important. So let's just go back to Red Dwarf, and now there's a robot. Oh, and Holly's a girl now. It's Holly's a girl now. And that's enough. that's enough, because
Yep.
it did try to wrap up the continuity of there, but then it was like, we're not going to get bogged down in it. And
Yeah.
it knows what it is. One of my favorite lines in the thing is when Crichton, who is a robot that you'll meet in series 2, but then disappears.
By a different actor. Yeah.
And then a different actor comes in a series later. But he says, "Sir, is this the human emotion that you call friendship?" And Lister goes, "It is way too early in the morning for this Star Trek crap." It's like, it knows what it is. It knows it's tremendously self-aware, but it's not self-aware in the way that they wink at the audience. I don't like that so much, but like it knows what it is, and you need to watch the first 2 series. And if you don't like the first 2 series, watch series 3 after you're done, because even if you don't like what Red Dwarf is, just stick around, because it'll be something else.
Facts. Mad facts. You know who didn't know what it was?
What?
Sir Patrick Stewart.
He's a huge fan, though.
Well, he is now.
Yes. I saw his interview on Red Dwarf Night. He saw it and he wanted to sue when he first saw it.
He was convinced it was a ripoff of Next Generation until he got it. But like, I don't know how you would. I want to give this man more credit. It's a good story, but I don't know how you watch 5 minutes of Red Dwarf and not realize A, it's a sitcom, and B, it's just lampooning science fiction. Like, I don't believe him. I think he's a big fat liar.
But yeah, he hosted Red Dwarf Night, which was something they did when Series 7 came out, when they did a cooking show called Can't Smeg, Won't Smeg, which was a parody of Can't Cook, Won't Cook. And they had Red Dwarf A to Z, which had Daleks in it. And he hosted that.
I got to appreciate like how it's become a trope, because this show is a contemporary with Next Generation, which is why Patrick Stewart got all upset about it. He's British, so he'll watch it on BBC, I'm sure. But I forgot my train of thought. What was I saying?
Patrick Stewart.
He's a big fat liar.
He's a big fat liar, yeah. Because it's so different. It's so different from he couldn't possibly have thought that it was a ripoff of Next Generation. You know who else is a fan of Red Dwarf? Madonna. Madonna likes Red Dwarf. You know who else? Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton's a fan of Red Dwarf.
I don't care about either of these people. Patrick Stewart's cool. He's still making Star Trek. Season 2 of Picard's coming out, I'm sure. He's also, you know what? Spoilers. Never mind. The point being, these first 2 series make real good use of the cast. So the first episode starts with everyone alive. You know, you have the captain, you have Kachansky, you have
the love interest.
Yeah, you have the
it
Dutchman.
Really seems you have Peterson, who went on to play Ron Weasley's father in Harry Potter. See, I brought it back to
That's why he looks familiar.
Yep, and he was also in a short series done by Rob Grant. By Rob Grant, called The Strangerers, which also has cast from Blake 7 in there. But it was canceled and never finished. It's really good if you could find it, but it was never released on anything. Strangerers.
But these characters keep appearing in flashbacks or other situations relating to holograms.
Calling by dream recorders.
Yeah, it's like Lost before Lost. I've mentioned this before. I'll mention it again. Like, you know, Ethan dies in season 1 of Lost, and you see him for the rest of the show for various reasons. And they do a pretty good job, and it makes more sense if the first 2 series were filmed back to back, because eventually some characters get replaced by different actors, but Captain Hollister is always Captain Hollister.
Yep. Kachansky's been played by 3 different people. Peterson was always played by the same person, and so were Chem and Shelby were always played by the same people. But Peterson became way too popular by the time Series 7 came around, so they just said, "Where's Peterson?" They're like, "He's drunk." Yes,
he's Dutch. It's fine.
Very in.
I guess any redhead will do.
I have the arm of a Danish moron.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Is he
sometimes
Danish?
just
Sorry, not
Danish.
Dutch.
Yes. You see,
Different. Netherlands is.
I'm
Well, or is it the
I
same? I can't
may
remember.
I may have seen this show more than once. Yes.
I hate. There are only two things I can't stand: people who are intolerant of other people's cultures, and the Dutch. Different
You know,
show.
death
Sorry.
death isn't the handicap it used to be in the olden days.
It's true. It's true. I don't know. I don't have any more comments about the first two series. Oh, I do have.
Yes.
The intelligent appliances are very Douglas Adams,
Oh my goodness, yes. They all
especially
are
the
having
toaster.
existential crises. And
Mhm.
that's explored. Oh my goodness, that's explored more as the series goes on. The
Yes.
toaster really goes through some things.
It's true.
Red Dwarf, the toaster really goes through some things. Yes.
There
But yeah.
you mentioned you could like jump into any episode, but occasionally there's continuity.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Yeah.
the first series ends in more or less of a crossover when there's two Rimmers by the end of
That's right.
episode 5, and the episode
That's
6
right.
is all about them trying to coexist, which of course they can't.
Yeah, of course.
But the thing that comes out of that is just beautiful. They're great character pieces,
Just
and
wonderful.
I get. Speaking of later series, I get why they had to do what they had to do with Rimmer
Oh yeah.
later on, but
Yeah.
there was some growth that was lost. Let me just say,
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
get to that
Yeah.
eventually.
And
Bummer, dude. You
and
can't grow in this show. You got to stay static.
I mean, they're just the relationship that they have. It's the same reason the sitcom The Odd Couple worked, because
Yeah.
they are different, but deep down, like, you want to see this relationship through, and you have wonderful. Skipping ahead to series 3, you have you. Some people will look at the episode Marooned as coming back to the series 1 and 2 format of just two people talking something out, because I really think that's some of the strongest character moments. Like, Red Dwarf evolves to be almost an action comedy sci-fi. Like, it really gets nice as it goes on. But these first episodes, I really think you should watch. And also, if you're interested in the universe behind it, read the book Infinity Welcomes Careful Drivers, which is the Red Dwarf novel. Get it on audiobook read by Chris Berry. Mwah. It's wonderful.
Right.
And it's basically the plot of the first 2 seasons, but with way more detail, because there's a lot of references Lister makes to, the things he does back when he was on Titan and things like that. And you get to actually hear them played out. So it's referencing a book that was written after. It's
fascinating. You know what else?
really good.
What else talks about life on Titan?
Yeah.
Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop. Okay. I haven't
we'll
watched
have
it
to,
yet. I
we'll
haven't
have to
watched
round
it yet.
around the new one. I'm talking about the anime, but I haven't watched the new one either. But
Okay.
all right. Any
I
last thoughts?
hear
Because we
mixed
should.
things. Oh yeah,
Oh, really?
we should
It's a
wrap this
bummer.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should wrap this up, because there's a lot more Red Dwarf to talk about, and I really want to hear everybody's feedback on this. So it's a short series. It's available on BritBox is a way you can watch it.
That's the only free way.
Yeah, I mean, if you search around the internet, okay, I mean, I know one of my friends is watching it right now on Daily Motion. Who knows if that'll stay up for a while, but it's on there. But if you can get if you're interested in the show at all, the DVDs are a good deal, or buying them from Amazon or Apple TV. Since each series is short, the episodes are fairly cheap. So I would totally recommend this comparatively.
Absolutely.
And apparently they're rewatchable.
Yeah, man. They're 35, 34 years later. That's wild.
Man, I'm sorry to gush like this. I'm sorry to gush like this, but as I said, this was one of the shows that shaped me growing up, and it based my ideas of comedy and just everything. I was Doctor Who had an influence, but Red Dwarf had more. You know.
Ooh, controversial statement.
I'm going to leave it at that. Okay.
Oh boy. There's also more new Doctor Who airing this year as well. So
I'm a whole doctor behind. Okay.
Oh no. Well, this one's almost done.
I better get in there. All right.
Yeah. All right. I don't see anything in the mail. Any user feedback much more than what we've shown over the course of the episode here. So I guess we're just going to leave it at that. But what do you guys want us to review next?
Let us know.
You've mentioned films, which we could absolutely do.
I'd also like to review something I don't like, because right now Sean and I are just kind of pulling up some of our favorites, and it would be kind of nice to. I mean, not that I want to watch something bad, but like it would be nice to have something that I go in with no expectation on.
I could talk about season 2.
Haven't watched it yet.
Oh, I won't influence you then.
Oh.
I have feelings about it though. I sure do.
Okay. Well,
yeah, or Mr. Corman.
I can't watch that because the actor that plays the friend on Mr. Corman is also one of the people who was acting in one of the textbooks that I use in my class. You see, it's put out by Oxford. The textbook is called Speak Now. It was made about 8 years ago, and he plays one of the characters in the included DVD. And the acting is so bad, but I can't treat him as a serious actor.
He's not bad.
He might not be, but I'll show you this sometime.
That's not the reason not to watch it. I'm just telling you. Okay. All right.
Oh, there's more reasons not to watch it. Well, I know it got canceled. Pretty immediately after it went out. Okay. Anyway.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for listening to this episode of Two Boobs Watch the Tube. I had an outro for this, but I forgot.
I want to lie shipwrecked and comatose, drinking fresh mango juice, goldfish shoals nibbling at my toes. Fun, fun, fun in the sun, sun, sun. Fun, fun, fun in the sun, sun, sun.
I just want you to know, I gave her one.
I'm much too much of a gentleman to have to go down to this locker room talk. I just want you to know. I gave her one.
All right.
Oh man! You know what? I'm gonna watch series 3 right after this. I'm just going right into it because Backwards is one of the all-time greats. Okay.
Isn't it? Oh, yes. What happens when you have to? Yep. Okay, we're gonna leave that there.
I'm gonna watch until I get to White Hole. White Hole. Oh my goodness. What is it? Okay. Yeah, just watch it, and then if you watch it, you can be my friend. Okay.
All right, and I'm done. Ending the broadcast.